Hey, Brianna, welcome to my podcast. I'm super excited to have you here, and I'm so excited that you agreed to be on my show. One of the main reasons, and before we dive into any deep conversation, I just really want to say it and express it, is that I have listened to one of your interviews you have done recently, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this woman literally speaks exactly the same way how my soul feels. Like, and I'm sure that you have heard this so many times. Literally, what I've been feeling for such a long time, and it just didn't have the words. We didn't have the language. You gave language to it. So I was like, I need you.
Yeah.
I need you to come on my show, and I need you to talk. And what we're going to be talking about today is going to be talking about something what I stand for. I'm so passionate about. I would not be here right now if I didn't have it, and it's freedom. And before we dive in, I know you probably want to say something, but I'm not letting you, but I will let you. But before we dive in, I start with a question of a gratitude. So what are you grateful for?
Barbara, I'm so grateful for you, babe. This is so sweet, right? Like this is so it just tickles me. Your message and your energy and the way you present online, the way you present in person, like you are real. And I just really appreciate that. And I'm grateful for this connection. I'm grateful for the connections in my life. It's truly a mycelium network. It's truly us practicing oneness that is going to bring all the freedom, right? Freedom is not a personal experience. It's a collective experience. I'm not free until you're free.
Yeah.
Like I can be as free as I want within my internal reality. We can do all the internal work. And I encourage that thoroughly. You can meditate, you can elevate, you can descend, you can do all the things, but it doesn't count until every sentient being is free. And that's really the game.
Absolutely. I was thinking recently about this, right? And please do disagree if you disagree with this. Every single conflict we had as a humanity in the past, every war, every freaking racism attack, literally, you name it, any abusement is all about freedom. Okay, so we all want to be free, but we all want to control. And this is what I want to talk to you about, and I just want to know where you stand with it. And also, we are giving, not we, some of us are giving our freedom away unknowingly. This is where your knowledge comes in. Get ready for that. because you have it all. And I just want people to listen to this podcast. I want them to know that freedom is so important to us. We need to protect it. We need to claim it back. Go.
Yeah.
Go, Brianna.
Go, Brianna, go.
Tell him. Tell him. Because I feel it, and you speak it.
Yeah. I mean, freedom is such a beautiful word and an incredible concept. So I think let's just start with like some simple definitions of what we mean when we say the word freedom, right? Like when I say it, when you say it, when we're communicating to your audience, this audience, if you're listening, like what does freedom mean to you? Like what are the feelings in the body? What are the behaviors of someone who is free or who has freedom? What are the behaviors of someone who doesn't have freedom, right? And so just starting to look at those contrasts, because for me, a lot of times we can define it within the contrast. So I'm going to start with that. For me, I know that there's a lack of freedom when I can't make decisions about my own body without needing to go through a governmental or authoritarian structure or even parental structures in order to make decisions about the body that this being, has been given charge of. Freedom is an experience of choice and also the connection to our freedom is connected. The freedom of what we are is about the whole. So it's not just about making decisions only for me. It's about being free enough in my mind to notice the reality that we're all interconnected. True freedom is noticing that I am connected to this dragonfly. I'm connected to you in this moment. I'm connected to oxygen, and the molecules are going out of my body into the vineyard right here. These plants drink what I exhale. and we become one. You can scientifically prove it now. They're finally being able to scientifically prove what we witches have been saying for tens of thousands of years. Indigenous traditions across the entire planet have been saying this for thousands of years, and they have been demolished by the domination patriarchy, by the need to conquer and control, which is kind of your antithesis to freedom, which we'll get into in just a moment. But starting to recognize that my freedom is interdependent, completely connected and dependent on the freedom of everything around me.
Do you know, I know you are touching up on the vaccinations and all that kind of stuff, and I don't mind, and I really, 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 really just want to raise this. I think the people who decide to have it, they should have it. There is no judgment. That's how I feel about it. And I think the people who decide not to have it, they should not have it. But nobody should be telling you, you do it, otherwise you're not going to be able to do X, Y, Z. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, there's been some really interesting comparisons of like societal norms and how to keep people safe. And it's like we make societal agreements to keep each other safe, like we all stop at the red light, right? Like if I was just thinking about my personal needs and just went through and didn't pay attention to societal norms, I would be a danger to society. And people have compared that to receiving the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to really bring forward this remembrance of like shooting something into my body. Anyone shooting anything into my body is not the same as driving a vehicle through the road.
Yeah.
These are two very different things, and we cannot be comparing that way.
No.
What we get to go back to the root of is freedom, is what we call body sovereignty, and the ability to make choice for myself and those that I am in care of, whether it's my animals or my children, that I get to make these decisions from a place of an informed consumer, right? An informed consumer. So it's really hard to make choices right now, Barbara, because the majority of information that is mainstream is funded by the companies that are receiving money in order to create the vaccine. So when the majority of the research, the scientific research, that so many people who are pro-vaccine, when so much of that research, 98% of it, is funded by the very people who are receiving money the more people take the vaccine, that to me is not a proper scientific academic front. That is a subjective experience. That is a sociological experiment on what can be pulled over people's eyes. To really test out a vaccine, it takes years. It takes different studies. It takes testing it in different bodies. It takes subjects who are open and willing to be scientific subjects, and people do this, right? And there are ways that they ethically do it, and there are ways that they don't ethically do it, but we won't get into that in this podcast. But right now, we don't have enough evidence. We don't, to know that it's not going to affect reproductive systems in pussy havers and women. We don't know what it's going to do to children. We don't know what it's going to do to developing brains and nervous systems. We don't know what it's going to do to those who are already immune compromised. We don't know. And you know what? The vaccine might be an amazing thing. It might be the thing that saves us. It might
exactly.
be.
Nobody says that it isn't. Yeah, no, absolutely.
No. What we're saying is people need to have choice. And I also advocate for just slowing down of the push of it right now until we can get a little bit more testing on what's actually needed. What's actually needed is for us to build our immune systems. Like if we want to heal a virus on the planet, we need to talk about being in the sunlight, drinking ginger tea. And I'm not saying that that's the only way. I'm not saying that the vaccine couldn't also help us. But the bigger conversation around why people are so diseased needs to be touched. That taproot needs to be touched. That's the bigger conversation, is that as human beings, we can have the freedom and the power to have the knowledge of how to take care of our vessels and not be decrepit and dying the way that we are right now. That's dumb. The number one killer in the United States is heart disease due to cortisol, extreme adrenaline and stress, and poor diet. Two things that are completely controllable by our own decisions, not by famine, not by war, not by stupid shit that we've somehow resolved. We're now killing ourselves through stress and diet. That's the bigger conversation that Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer do not want to have. That's the bigger conversation that the president of the United States does not want to have and take responsibility for. That's the conversation that the majority of American people, and I would say even Western people, Europeans, Australians, those of us who are in the consumerist domination models, the majority of individuals want to remain in their Amazon accounts, paying with their credit cards, buying their fast food, going from their box house into their box car, into their box office, into this continuity of somewhat toxic mimic of comfort. We got to address the whole system. And that's the conversation the companies are not ready or willing to have. We got to address our petroleum consumption. We got to address the sex slavery and the children who are making our clothes. We got to address the way that our politicians get away with murder. We've got to address a whole mafioso system on our planet. And that's the root cause of this virus. And until the corporations have enough of the money taken away from them, until we as women, I'm on the planet here to that every woman gets to be a billionaire. Every woke woman gets to be a billionaire. Wake up, women, because it's our time to take the money back. These brothers are not running this thing into the ground. We're done. The witches are done. We're coming for you. We're coming.
Now, absolutely. And the other thing what we have said, which I want to touch up on, is the common sense, right? So for instance, if somebody told you this story, what we are having going on right now around the world, 10 years ago, how would you react? Like, no, it's impossible. This is not going to happen. This doesn't make any sense. Or would that make sense to you?
I mean, somewhat, only because I've studied history and I like know the way the bubonic plague spread and the way that we've been interacting,
astrology and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but if you didn't, let's talk to the people
kind of like
who
the
didn't.
median mind. No, like in the normal system, it's like that sounds like some dystopian Hollywood film.
Exactly. So what happened to the common sense, and how do we get affected by what is projected to us?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know where I'm going with that? Well, it's just things which make sense doesn't make sense anymore, but everybody follows them because somebody said something and somebody said the other thing. And as you said at the beginning, you said we are all united, right? That's what we are. We are all united. And if we are not going to be united, we're not going to be able to get through this. Correct or not correct? Discorrect.
Well, we're all connected, right? All beings are connected. We're not united right now. We all humans need each other, but we can't stand each other right now. It's a conundrum that we're in as humanity of like, we're finding out that we're super fucking needy and we actually need every single human being on the planet. We need every single one, and we need every animal, and we need every tree, and we need everything. We actually need everything. We are needy motherfuckers, and we need each other, and we've been destroying like a cancer on this planet, right? So right now we are all connected, but we're not united. We're not united with our animals. We're not united with our plants. We're not united with the tribes in the Amazon. We're not united with the native voices in the United States trying to get the pipelines to stop crossing the rivers. We're not united with what's happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo and their forever civil war. We're not united about petroleum extraction in the Middle East and why they think that they're fighting an evil force of the United States Army that has been there, and they basically regard us as like the Darth Vader of their land. Like we're not united, we're connected. And the more I'm a real advocate of anyone who believes in choice and sovereignty and freedom is like, know geopolitics, like know what's happening on the planet. Do your meditation in the morning, eat good food, get barefoot in nature, take care of yourself, do your baths, learn what is the best thing to take care of your physical vessel, and know what's happening geopolitically and connect to the oneness. Like that's just really where it's at right now. We're in training. For those who are light workers, for those who are here with a message, for those who are here to wake up, for those who are here to wake up others, this is our training time. Nobody is okay right now. Not me, not you. Like this has affected everyone on a deep like sovereignty and also safety level. Like big root chakra, boom, for all of us. And it's a full-on self-care time. It's full on connecting with good people time. It's full on really getting into the practices and these ancient technologies, the yoga. Like yoga is not a workout. Yoga is a way of training the nervous system so that we can handle life. Plant medicine is not some way to erase your bad memories or to check off some spiritual I've done it boxes. It's a way to train the nervous system of how to sit up and sing when shit hits the fan. These shamanic technologies, these indigenous technologies that are coming back online, that are so popular right now, are really about us training our nervous system, because it's time to be tender, open-hearted, beautiful, powerful examples of the warriors of the light that this planet needs right now. This planet needs leaders who are unafraid to go into their own darkness, who are unafraid to speak truth, who are unafraid to sit in a circle and say, there are many things that we don't know. There are many things that we don't know, but we want to include everyone's voice, and we want to listen to the women, and we want to listen to the children. We need to listen to indigenous voices. We need to listen to the plants. We need to listen to the animals. Like, we get to call this forward. And I've said it already, but like the advocacy of like every woman gets to be a billionaire. The one with the biggest voice at the table is the one who has the money. And if we as collectives of sisters, if we as collectives of women, and the men can be included too, but I believe it gets to be women led, those who have pussies, those who are the holders of life, however you want to identify. But if you have that GPS system where we have neurodendrites, we have the same cells that are in our brain, and heart cells that only appear in the brain and the heart and the human body appear in the physical human womb. We have the blueprint for life within our systems. We have an intuition of how to connect and make this about love and connection and oneness and the one voice, while also addressing the bullshit that has happened. We have a system of judgment within our bodies that regulate and bleed, that can feel when something is out of alignment for the best of life. Laterally, our leadership is lateral. It's a circle, not a pyramid. It's a circle, not a pyramid. It's a complete paradigm shift. Every system that is a pyramid on the planet right now is going to be facing death. Presidential systems, economic systems, educational systems, medicinal systems, like the pyramid is falling. And in order to not build another pyramid, those of us who are light workers, those of us who are awake, those of us who are aware, those who've had experiences of oneness are here to create the circle. And we're all figuring out what that means. I'm not here as like, I've created this circle, everyone join me. It's like, fuck, I don't know what this circle is. I know your power is dependent on my power. So I'm going to empower you. You're going to empower me. We all have to rise. We all get to step forward. We all get to be in our beauty and our power and our majesty and our sovereignty and our solidarity, and come together in beautiful art and creation and podcasts and festivals, and remind humans why we're here to be human. And how to do that is through the living experience of it every day. Like, there's never a moment that we're not working. There's never a moment we're not training. There's never a moment we're not relaxing into pleasure, because the opposite of war is not peace. It's not nothingness. It's not. The opposite of war is pleasure. The opposite of war is creation. The opposite of war is that relaxation of being able to take a nap on your front lawn, knowing a bomb's not going to drop, or knowing someone's not going to try to come rape you, right? I live in the United fucking States, in one of the most expensive places in the world. And my dad told me not to sleep in my front yard, because it's an area where we have some grass, because someone might come by and try to rape me. And while I believe that's a bit paranoid, and that's not necessarily something I would ever tell my daughter, what he was saying was true.
You know, no, I love what you said, and I love what you said about women. It's not about discriminating the male energy, but this is something what has happened in the history, and I'm sure you're going to touch up on that. And that is when we were separated, when we were not allowed to have our circles, because we were very powerful. We are very nurturing, very caring beings. And the way how we care for our children, or we care for our partners, if we were allowed to care for others like us, we would really rise up from the ashes like a phoenix, and we would be unstoppable, super powerful, and it will be just so good. But we got the circle's broken. Well, I'm sure it's coming back together.
It is slowly. I mean, even in this conversation, right? Like, that I don't want to romanticize tribal living because there was a lot of shit that went down, right? Like they couldn't survive the winter. Women died regularly from childbirth. So I'm not romanticizing like, let's go back to tribe and all live off the land. No, I think it's a bridge between ancient technologies and current technologies and future technologies that are going to allow us to merge. But something about the ancient technology of women being able to be together and raise their children together and not have to do it alone, once that was taken from us and replaced with competition, replaced with
Yeah.
fear of resource around men or money or beauty or needing to be the one, like that whole thing, the sisterhood wound thing, it just hurt, right? It was so nasty, so horrible. But that was what came in specifically, I mean, within West, we'll talk about it just within the Western context, was with the witch trials, was with this whole context that women who just doing their women thing, like fucking cleaning their house, using herbs to clean their
Yeah.
house, okay? Disinfectant herbs to clean my house. I could have been burned at the stake for almost 1,000 years. Just let's just start there. People are like, the witches, tell me about the magic of the witches. I was like, there were no witches. They were just motherfucking housewives who used the herbs they grew in their garden, and the Christians didn't like them because they didn't want to take away their husbands and children to war to fight for the motherfucking Christians who came in and took over their
Yeah.
land. That's who we were. We were just the indigenous women of Europe, just doing our thing. We said some prayers and did some magic for sure, but it wasn't like this going on the broomstick and all of our spells and this evil mystery Merlin. Like, that's so many fucking layers on the simplicity that anywhere between 300,000 and up to 2 million women were murdered for cleaning their house with sage. Just dipped in water, not even burning that shit, just dipped in water, washing the table with herbs, murdered, raped, tortured. My ancestors were tortured for this bullshit, for being called a witch, a word that was made up to identify any woman who wouldn't go along with whatever the Christian Catholic Church said. That's what that was. Any woman who defied a priest, any woman who said that my power is important too, any woman who stood up for their voice or stood up against the Roman Empire or stood up against the Pope, any woman, men too, and some queers too, and some children too, but the majority, 90+% of those killed, tortured, raped during the witch trials of Europe, specifically of Western Europe, was women. It was a war against women. It was a war against the feminine voice, specifically targeted because the women were strong. Our indigenous mothers were strong. We knew how to come together. We were powerful.
We knew how to clean.
We knew how to clean our houses and the bullshit. You know what I mean? We were the midwives. We were the nurses. We were the keepers of death. We were the keepers of life. We were the Bandrui. We were the high priestesses of Avalon. These are legendary forces of their magic and their ability to heal people's minds, to heal them when they came back from war. They were using high-level NLP, family constellations, coaching, entity extraction, herbal usage, digestion help, enemas, the whole thing. They had dental work, like the full thing, full societies, full knowledge before what we consider to be civilization.
Yeah. And that brings us back to freedom.
And that's the original place of it, right? Is like us remembering our connection to each other, us remembering that the power of our freedom lies in the resources that we are with each other. If we're talking about a circle for education, for medicine, for our governments, we have to come together as humanity, as community. And it scares the shit out of me too. I'm like, another meeting, another time where we have to sit around and figure this stuff out. Like, yeah, forever. Like we need to talk to each other. We need to come back to community, come back to local community, I think is where it's going to start. And I don't know that it's going to be a choice. You know, there's this idealized like, oh yeah, the hippies are going to do like their community thing. And it's like, where things are going right now, like we might have to. And those of us who are practicing may have like a couple legs up, but we're not doing that much better. Like it's hard to be human right now. We don't have a blueprint handed to us from our parents on how to human well. Most of us, what we've learned from our parents is what not to do. That's hard
Again,
to have elders like that.
again, you are speaking for my soul. You're giving, yeah, I'm loving this. Thank you. It's out. The soul has spoken. Thank you.
I love that. The soul has spoken.
No, absolutely, Brianna. I completely agree. Okay, so I'm loving this conversation. Can you tell the listeners where are you based, what you are doing, and how you are helping the humanity and the plants?
I seem to be agitating humanity a little bit more than helping at the moment, but it's an act of love. It truly is. I'm not here to be confrontational. I am here to activate. I am here to help people wake up. And sometimes I do that through like pokey things. And I am so open to not being right. I'm so open to learning more. I'm so open to being in the listening of all the processes, of all the learnings, because there is so much energy within every person right now. And so there's just a lot of respect and a lot of love, even when I'm sharing in my fire, even when I'm sharing in my conviction. There is tenderness and having done this enough times now that I know that I don't know the whole story.
Mhm.
So there's that piece, and I say that because that's also how I lead and teach. Is I'm really an activator of leaders. I'm really I'm looking for my 𝐒𝐸𝐞, my soul siblings, my brothers and sisters. You know, I believe that the teacher structure of like, I'm the expert coach and I'm going to show you this thing, or I'm the shaman who has this way, or I'm the guru who has like, thank you for that time.
Mhm.
And now we're here to activate each other. So I usually start working with people. People find me when they're ready to die to the dominion model within themselves. And when they're ready to find a new authority, a new author, they're ready to be the author of their life and not give their power away to a government or a parent or their past trauma or the patriarchy or this or that. Like, to understand and be informed, but to really make decisions from that place of oneness, from that place of infinite power, from that place of dominion, power within and power with all. We're here to empower each other. So people find me when they're ready to have a new paradigm about reality, because that's what I'm a student of. I'm not an expert. They come to me to learn and receive the notes and receive the transmissions of me having worked this. My whole life has been a question of power. My
It's all
whole
about
life has been a
resonating,
play.
isn't it? It's all about resonating. Like, the people do resonate with you or they don't resonate with you, and that's fair enough, because that's how we work. And whereabouts do you live? And because you live in a community, and I just want you to like talk about that a little bit, just touch up on that.
Yeah, love it. Right now I'm based in Pacific Palisades, California, in a beautiful, sweet, dynamic community called the Mother Tree. And I'm a co-founder of a nature-based church called the Earth Temple, and we're based out of the Mother Tree there.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Where
my
can
pleasure.
listeners find you? Where can they contact with you? Where can they book you? Are you taking people for your mentorship? Or
I'm taking all the people, Barbara. I'm taking all the people, and we're gonna do this thing together.
We're gonna clean houses with sage, and I'll tell you how.
Yes, we'll teach you. It's really easy. rev.briana.lynn, rev.briana.lynn at all the things: Facebook, Instagram. rev.briana.lynn at theearthtemple.com is my email. And I have a lot of different touch points, I would say. Within the Earth Temple, we do weekend trainings, we do one-on-one work, we do longer containers of different types of training for women, for men, for mixed identities. And there's really a space for everyone to kind of feel into what it is. We also have a newsletter that if anyone just wants to be in this conversation, to be in the conversation of oneness, and also how to acknowledge the what is, right? Like, we get we're infinite beings, we're all light beings, we're moving to the fifth dimension, Lemuria is upon us, yes. And like, let's be very in touch with what current reality is, where we want to get to in the GPS, yes, and naming and directly addressing with our fifth dimensional powers how to navigate the 3D in a good way and in a way that returns it to wholeness, that restores the wholeness, restores right relation with the planet and the land. So yeah, that's the work that we do. And we do all sorts of workshops and deeper dives and shamanic journeys and inner child work to community development and looking at the blueprints of communication and conflict resolution and all the things. We are students of all the things.
Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.